Leafs Talk. JD Bunkis, Sam McKee, Justin Bourne. The Leafs win. The Leafs get a terrific first game win against the Ottawa Senators. Sammy, let's start with you. What did you like the most about this game?
I would say that I liked where it put my mental health at for just at least 2 days here, where there's a lot of worry about what you're going to look like, what it's going to look like for the Leafs heading into a playoff series where we all know all the stories around them. And for them to come out and just look as convincing and look like the veteran, better playoff hockey team, it really felt great. I don't think it's necessarily a statement on the rest of the series. It's a great win, but just for this to look like this tonight, I know for myself as a Leaf fan, I know a lot of Leaf fans watching this right now, that felt awesome. So it's a great first game of hopefully a long run, but that put my heart at ease for at least 2 days, fellas. It was a really, really convincing, great win from the Leafs.
Bunk, you want to go next?
Yeah, most encouraging thing tonight, because to me, like, I've got a bunch of things circled here in terms of, listen, man, if you're a Leafs fan, you know about ghosts, right?
Mhm.
Like, you have things that would have come into the postseason, and it could have started tonight in a way where, had certain things happened, you probably would not have been feeling so great. And I think that a lot of the markers that you're looking for as a Leaf fan went your way tonight.
You know, that being Stolarz looks good. The core four gets their points. They're involved. Their touches. The power plays buzzing. You know, like all these like checklists. And I know we're going to go more into it in depth, but all the things you wanted to see go the right way. Great start. But I think Sam's point is probably the greater one, where the best takeaway is Ottawa looks like a team who hasn't been in playoffs. Just too excitable, too jittery, too eager to press the nuke button, rather than just, you know, hold their fire, keep their powder dry when necessary.
To me, it looked like one team that was playing what they thought was playoff hockey versus a team that was actually playing playoff hockey. You know, there's just, they took a bunch of, and we can talk about we can do ref talk at some point tonight, but they took some undisciplined penalties, and the Leafs just do what you're supposed to do when you have a really lethal power play. And we look back at last year, they scored as more power play goals tonight than they did in 7 games against the Boston Bruins tonight. So it's really, really encouraging to see the power play look as good as it did tonight. But that's my biggest overarching feeling. Like you said, they're just too horned up. They're way too excited. They were way too just ready to make an impact, trying, like, Stützle's running around like he's, you know, Darcy Tucker out there, and he's just getting way out of his own game. So we'll see if they adjust, but that was a brutal showing for a lot of those guys in the first game.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's the power play. Like, I just think that for a group where so much of it is obviously not about talent, that the confidence that you've got to be feeling scoring 3 power play goals all within 10 seconds of action has got to just be a massive weight off these guys' shoulders moving forward. Like, from basically January onwards, it was one of the most dominant pieces of this Toronto Maple Leafs attack, right? They're not a team that's going to score a ton 5-on-5. They need to have the power play. And for Ottawa, who clearly was way too amped up in this game, and it felt as though, like, once they went down, that only ended up getting worse. Like, the penalties that they took only seemed to aggravate them as the game went on, and it didn't make them calm down. They kept that same energy. If you're the Leafs, you got to be thrilled. If you're Mark Savard, you're the happiest guy in that dressing room.
Yeah. But, you know, it's, you know, you can't lose game 2 and game 1, but a lot of things can have an effect on game 2. And the idea where they kept taking penalties and allowed Marner and Matthews and Nylander and Tavares more touches to just handle the puck, get into the series, put some numbers on the board where they're not squeezing the stick. You know, they get no points next game. Mitch Marner's still at 1.5 points per game. You know, like, he's not going to be desperate. And all of a sudden you make those guys more dangerous. And so a lot of what went on today felt like it has repercussions for the next game. And the biggest one, which we haven't mentioned yet, is Ullmark looked terrible.
Yeah.
And that's big.
Terrible. If I'm a Sens fan, that I will not sleep well tonight thinking of what he looked like. And we talked about it a lot with Kipper last week, where I was pointing out to you guys how horrendous he's been in his entire career in the playoffs. His numbers have been really, really bad. And I'm sure, like, I don't follow closely the Ottawa side of things in terms of what the talking points are coming into the playoffs, but I'm sure on their shows and amongst fans, there are some hushed tone conversations about what Ullmark was going to look like heading into this first round. And I'm sure they're like, oh, well, he's been good toward down the stretch and he was pretty hot for them. They showed his stats that he had a good end of the season. But boy, that first game, that's just going to send a shiver up and down your spine and his spine. Like, he's going to be thinking about it. He's going to be like, I am playoff Ullmark all of a sudden, and he's going to be overthinking it. Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, Bourne, that's a fantastic development for the Leafs that he looked the way he did tonight.
The one that he let in on Morgan Riley, like right after the Senators get a goal, and it feels like, Toronto starts the third period horrifically.
Bad start.
I just thought that they came out flat. They came out like a team that was already expecting to have the win and wasn't trying to step down on the throats of the Senators. They take a penalty, and all of a sudden during the delayed call, one pops into the back of their net. And at just a few seconds later, like right after the goal, right as the momentum feels like it's shifting, there's tons of game left here, right? Like tons of game left. And you would, if you're Toronto, you are like, let's be real here. You're a choking franchise. So,
I sent my family out of the basement. It was 4-2, too much period left. And I was like, everyone's got to go. I need to pay attention.
Yeah, exactly.
I said to Allie and her dad who were here tonight, I was like, they're blowing this 100%.
Yeah,
those words came out of my mouth.
Didn't it feel like blowing it time?
Yeah.
Really did. And Ullmark, it's like, I know it's a knuckler, comes in weird.
It gets tipped, yeah.
It actually reminds me of like when an outfielder goes to play a ball and it just like came off the bat a little strange. But it still hit you in the glove. You're still a professional outfielder. You've got to be able to make that out. And when I saw Ullmark, all I could think was, buddy, if your team ever needed you to turn it on and make some saves, it was right there, and you let in that one. At that point, I genuinely thought the game was over. There was nothing that I was going to do they were going to be able to get back in it.
Yeah. I will say, even when it was 4-2, I take some comfort now that it's like, you can roll out 5D or at least 4D who you're really comfortable with in the D zone. I didn't used to feel like that last season. So I was less like Sammy that it was over, but it was definitely going to be like, I hope they don't plan on packing it in the D zone, which they did for a lot of the third period and just hanging on. But yes, Riley shoots that one in. And then there's the other part of like, all right, he's on the board. And let's face it, I didn't think he was great tonight.
No.
But he shot one in, and that's one of those vibes things. Like, okay, can he get feeling good about it, having some contribution? Because that ended up being a pretty big goal.
Yeah, it was a huge goal.
Yeah, no,
it really was.
And you want to have the conversation, playoff Mo, the if you want to start to turn it. Looked a lot like regular season Mo for a lot of the game tonight. But when he snaps one bar down from the post to pretty much from the point to put the game away, you feel really good about it. But Ullmark for me is a huge storyline going forward in the game and in the series. And like, it's to the point where if he looks again like that in game 2, you're already thinking nuclear options if you're Travis Green to me. Like if he's shaky again, it's like, this is whatever his name. What's the guy they brought in for Holtby? Was it Grubauer they brought in? It's Scott Darling time. Like it's whoever the backup is time. Because he was brutal tonight, and I thought he was clearly he's a huge reason they lost.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm as reactionary as that. Like, I don't know if it's a change if he's poor again. If I'm Ottawa, I have to think that this is his worst game of the series. Like, I just have to be treated. Yeah,
I think they think we paid him, and we're just going to let him hang himself if he hangs himself.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As I don't think that there's a nuclear option here that quick. Like, it's just not. It's just not up for me. If I'm Ottawa, I'm playing the guy that brought me here. I'm playing the guy that I'm paying. I'm paying the guy that had a great regular season, and I'm saying figure it out on the fly because we just don't have another choice.
Or don't. Then you take the blame and we don't.
Well, conversely, that brings us to the Leafs goaltending, right? Like, I thought that Stolarz was brilliant tonight.
Really, really good. Really, really good.
For sure.
Like I thought the breakaway save he makes at the start of the second period, followed up by one moments later, was like turning point stuff where it felt like Ottawa came out and could have poured it on in a 1-goal game. I just thought, Ottawa didn't not get chances tonight, which is awesome English, but
Yeah.
Stolarz he made a lot of saves. He battled. They didn't do as good a job limiting second and third chances, and he still kept him in it.
Yeah.
I thought that the saves that
go
he
ahead, Mike.
made at the beginning of the second period in particular were like the kind of
This
tilting
one.
the moment, just the complete opposite of what they got from the other goaltender. Like Morgan Riley blows one there, bobbled puck, ends up going the other way, makes one on Kachuk. Then he saves one with the knob of his stick on the power play that Ottawa
Yes, on
gets
Stützle.
ensuing, which is, going to go down as probably the best save of the series for Stolarz. Like I just have a tough time imagining he's going to have one that's better than that. He had another
Right
one here, like, just swallows up a puck. Again, if you're Toronto, I'm hard pressed. Like the power play thing was absolutely paramount. I think that everyone is right in assessing that that was the most important thing for this team. But to have a goaltender who was on this incredible hot streak, the first goal that he lets in is a bit of a bobble by him where he probably should have been able to control the rebound. And you're feeling like, that's a bit of an iffy one, even though Carlo loses a puck battle and they fail to box out in front of the net. But the fact that he settled into the rest of the game after letting in a suspect goal, huge, massive.
Yeah, I did. I loved him for the most part tonight. You mentioned the second and third chances. It felt like there was a few uncharacteristic rebounds a couple times throughout tonight, but it didn't matter. They scored 6. Like he made the big saves when you needed it. I have no complaints. I thought he was very good. But there's a couple times which is, I think both goals that they score come off like multiple rebound spots in front of the net. But
but
I
the
got no
second
complaints.
goal, nobody's controlling those rebounds.
Yeah, no. Listen. I'm just pointing out that he was kicking it out into the slot a little bit more than usual, but he was brilliant. Made a bunch of awesome saves, and he was a huge reason they won. So good for him.
I don't agree. I don't think
Okay.
rebound control was an issue tonight. I think that a
Okay.
lot of those rebounds, like the angles Ottawa was shooting them from, those are like designed to create traffic. Those are designed to create rebounds. Bad rebound control to me is not like rebounds happen. They happen in a hockey game. And I think that this is like a common misconception with goaltending. It's like, you're not meant to swallow up every single one of these. If it hits you in the pads, the puck's going to bounce out. Like it's not going into the goaltender. Like it's not going to absorb into his body. So the rebounds that he did have tonight, I thought that they were kicked out into areas where Ottawa was not really able to get a lot of chances from them. And so it's like, the second goal there where it's like rebounds, you're talking about like point blank shots that are going off of pad saves. No goaltender on planet Earth, including like prime Dominic Hasek, is controlling those rebounds.
Yep. Fair enough.
He locked it down like sort of like first period stuff, nerves, maybe whatever. But I thought he got better as the game went on. So Greig scores that goal. Greig, a bit of an Achilles heel, not takes one to the net with the shoulder down. Whoops, did I fall on the goalie? We all had a little moment on this one, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, I think this was maybe outside of there being, I don't know what the most predictable outcomes of this series were, but Ridley Greig crashing into Anthony Stolarz in game 1 in any fashion, that they didn't even post those odds on the board. That was the lock of the century. And like to be honest, boys, he shouldn't have been even in the game to score a goal or do this. So like, that's just it's a space-time continuum thing. If Stolarz ends up getting hurt on this play, that's what you're talking about coming out of this. But I got to say that like Ridley Greig is clearly going to be an absolute factor in this series. And he was incredibly noticeable tonight with a goal, cross check to the mouth, running over the goalie. Like he was the full Ridley Greig experience tonight. He's going to be noticeable.
So I want to get to the cross check next, but I got to say this, and it's probably just because Toronto won this game that I feel this way, right? Like if they lose, then I'm furious. And I'm like, and if Stolarz is hurt, I'm ranting and raving about Ridley Greig suspension, whatever. But with this being the Battle of Ontario and the feeling of like, they need this rivalry rekindled and players you hate. I love having a guy like this out there.
Sure.
Like this adds to the tapestry of the game to me.
Yeah.
It's funny though. It's funny sitting here feeling like Greig was so much more impactful than Brady Tkachuk.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did Tkachuk do tonight? The breakaway he didn't finish on.
Nope.
Hit a few guys, but
and the breakaway was kind of ugly. That's like lost in his. What was that?
Like Greig is enemy number 1 on that team. Yeah, the cross check to Tavares. So they must have reviewed it. It must have skipped off the shoulder. Is that what we're assuming?
Yeah, that's not an assumption for me. That's just a fact. He goes high with the cross check, but it rolls up off the shoulder. I was a little surprised they overturned it because like To me,
That's the Matthews on Darlene, the shoulder skip.
Yeah, but yeah, to me, it's like Greig. It's intentional. Like I know that no one's ever out to hurt anybody is the party line of players.
Okay.
Right?
What are you talking?
Yeah,
he stared him down and cross-checked him in the neck. What are you talking?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree. What my point is that players love saying they're not out there to hurt anybody.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they don't like to see it.
You hate seeing someone get hurt, except when you try to hurt them and succeed.
But that one is just that doesn't look like a reactionary play to me. That looks like he tries to chop him in the face. Like, look how high the stick goes up and the position in which he's holding it when the impact happens. You just can't tell me, as even the most like diehard Senators fan, that there is not a clear and distinct lift and push.
He's cross-checking uphill.
Yeah.
You know, like my junior coach used to say that to me, was because I was soft. He'd be like, if someone runs you, cross-check them in the mouth and we'll kill it off. That's what he wanted me to do. That exact play.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the refs go over, call it a 5-minute, and then look at this and decide to change it. Like, that's as targeted to the face, cross-check, Darlene, Matthews on Darlene, all the ones that we've talked about. This play happens a lot in hockey, and it is punished strictly. And I don't think they'll suspend him. I think they probably could give him a game. They won't. They'll give him a fine. Like,
he has no history.
Oh, he's got to have some sort of history. He's been a greaser his entire career. Like, he's done dirty stuff his entire career in the league. Like, I don't know if he has suspension history or whatever, but like, I don't think they will. I definitely think it could be a game, as considering they made it a minor. Does that make a difference on how they review it? I don't know, but
I think bad.
That was rotten. That was rotten. That's just as bad as many plays around the league, like ones that get suspended. Anyways,
I don't think he's gonna. I'm with you. I don't think he gets a suspension, but if he got a game, I also wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Like,
so he was suspended one preseason game and one regular season game for cross-checking Pierre-Luc Dubois, presumably in the headular region, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember that one at all.
You're right though, Sammy. Like, the idea that it gets overturned to a 2-minute penalty. That the thing is like, again, I understand they see it and it's the stick rides up off the shoulder and into the face.
Yep.
But is that the rule as the official, that if a guy finishes a cross check that results on impact into the head?
It's reckless, right?
That's what I mean. Like, I just don't understand the rule. Like, I understand a case where if you hit someone in the shoulder and the stick rides up, that is something that if you are in the Department of Player Safety, that you take into an account when dealing out a suspension. But if you're a referee on the ice making a call that you made as a 5-minute major penalty that still results in hitting, like, it clearly hits him in the head and neck area, the stick ends up there. So just because it starts on the shoulder, you walk that one back. I don't really get the thought.
If you high stick someone, they say you're responsible for your stick, even if you didn't mean to do it.
Well, yeah.
And apparently, if you cross check,
if you high stick someone, but the high stick hits them in the shoulder first, they don't go, well, that's not a penalty because the stick hit him in the shoulder first.
So I still don't like that play.
But
I don't get it.
Like, I mean, here's the thing. If you're, I don't know why on God's green earth a Sens fan would be listening to this right now, but if you're a Sens fan and we're talking like this, they are losing their mind, because the Leafs got a great whistle tonight. They got a bunch of power plays. Listen, they were undisciplined penalties. They took a couple cross checks, like the hit from behind on Stützle. Like, there were penalties that were definitely penalties, but like
jumps.
Yeah, they were penalties. Don't get me wrong. But I'd had a little check-in on old Sens Twitter during the
No, I can tell you for a fact that all the Sens fans I know were bitching about the officiating. Yes, but this is the thing that I put back. This is my only question for you. If you think the Leafs got a good whistle tonight, tell me which call you thought was the one that you didn't like, because one.
I'm just saying that playoffs are physical, and there's lots of crap that happens in playoff games that don't get called, and they didn't miss much tonight, is what I'll say for the Leafs. And that's fine. If that's the standard, it's good. But like, I think that's
bad too.
That's a bad play.
That's what I'm saying though, is like, okay, I understand it. I get it, Sammy. Like, I'm not disagreeing that the Leafs didn't get like a good whistle in that things were called, but which one of these penalties could you even remotely fight? I guess maybe the push in Matthews back, but again, that's a cross check from behind.
And Matthews keeps playing. He maintains the puck. He's not like diving. He keeps the puck. He's not going down to draw a penalty.
Right.
Definitely.
So it's just like, if you're a Senators fan and you're in the chat, tell me which one of these that you really thought was a tough call against you, because I just don't see it.
Oh, man, he's got to get suspended for that. I'm watching that over and over on YouTube or Sportsnet Plus. He's got to get a game for that.
More and more mad.
It's a rotten play. It's a cross check to the mouth. Anyways, listen. I'm not trying to sit here and say the Leafs like they got a bunch of soft calls, but they just didn't miss much. And like the Leafs took advantage, which is nice to see. They didn't go 0 for 5 on the power play and just like have it let them. They were clinical, and that's a huge factor in this game. That's going to be a huge factor in this series if they can get that. So I like that a lot, that they got a good whistle. I'm just saying that. It's nice to see.
It does say something though, like the series is chippy, and I think both teams want to play that way. But to me, again, this just comes down to playoff experience, where it's like the Leafs have played in these kind of games over and over again, and you know where that line is, where maybe the Senators just didn't.
Yeah, they didn't.
Very possible.
100%.
All right, Marner.
Good game. Good game. Did good.
Yeah, good game.
Oh wait.
Again, I'm doing markers, right? Like, I'm going down this list of things that mattered the most. And you would say, what did you need? You needed a power play. You needed a goal. You needed good goaltending. You needed to win the special teams battle. It's like, okay, they did those things. Check. And then you needed something from Mitch Marner. And I know that there's a lot of haters out there that are going to go like, well, it's one of the first games of the series and it's not the second half. They even barbecued him with that stat pack on the broadcast, which I thought, damn, he's not playing in a game 5. He's not playing in a game 6. What do you want him to do?
Can't score in game 5 tonight.
Yeah, exactly. He's scored in the only, but he's doing what he can. He scored in the game in front of it. Should he not score in the first 4 games of a series? I'm
glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, holy, that is ruthless. Like, it's game 1. Like, we're set 2 periods and he just scored a sweet goal. Do we need to flash that one up? I'm glad you guys brought that up. I forgot about that till right now, but that was funny.
Listen, I respect our colleagues at the company. They put a lot of work in, but I definitely thought that was a weird thing to bring up right as he scores a goal. It's like, yeah, but where's all the ones back? I'm like, all right, I guess so. Probably save that one for the games that he's in, that he can change those stats, but fine. Yeah. We talked a lot in text about the Leafs' great defensive zone play with the top line tonight, just a lot of just crafty ones, and Matthews obviously there breaks him out. But Sammy and I have gone back and forth on this, Bourne. Maybe you want to be the tiebreaker. We've said, with your life on the line, would you rather Mitch Marner or William Nylander on a breakaway for you? Because I feel like they're the 2 Leafs that do it. And normally Marner has kind of the same spot that he likes to put it to, which is the blocker. And there he just goes back to like junior hockey highlight reel, barring in over the glove, just really sexy stuff. And he's fired up after the goal. And yeah, I just think that for him not to have this be a narrative going into game 2 or 3 or 4 of this guy hasn't scored yet is massive.
Yeah. It wasn't even, the points necessarily that I loved so much about his game tonight. 2 things stand out in particular. One is not the breakaway goal. It's that he's going. It's that he's cheating in a good way, that like he's looking for offense and going. I love that. Like, you want to see him thinking offense. That's something against in post or previous playoffs. I've thought he's just not involved. He's not taking any chances. So I liked that. And then I know later we'll probably show it, but the D zone clip where he's getting involved in like a puck battle. Here he is. So this one, I think, is this maybe the one I was talking about, where it goes down into his corner over here? Gets involved physically and against a big guy, leans on a guy, wins a puck, backhand sauce, and the Leafs are out of their zone. Like, he just didn't seem hesitant to be involved in the hockey tonight. And that's different from what we've seen in previous playoffs.
Absolutely. And if we could show that, the breakaway again, after you're done showing this clip here, Luke, but the pass from Matthews, the paths from Matthews, unique New York, was brilliant. And then the edge work by him on this, to like, that angle doesn't show up, but the angle from the end where he catches that and all in one motion pivots onto his forehand, goes in, shoots it at, like, his edge work is just out of this world. It's like, it's amongst the best in the league. And it's a great pass by Matthews. And we've talked about how much Matthews has improved in passing. And I know it's a stretch one. He's there. You still have to make it. You still have to pivot onto your forehand like that. That's just a beautiful goal at a big, like, it's like the start of the game. They're up 1-0. They've had some chances. And that's just like it's just a statement.
Catch, pass.
Yeah. It's just go up 2, play from ahead. They had to lead the entire game. They never trail. They're just confident. And for, like you said, for him to just feel good about himself this early and feel great going into a game 2, it's just awesome. That edge work and that pass, God, these guys are just so good. That was a beautiful shot. Allmark, like, give him more net there to shoot at next time, Allmark. Like, I don't know what he was defending against there, but it goes bar down, beautiful goal. Good for Mitch, because they need him, and he was excellent tonight.
All right, rapid fire time.
Yeah, let it rip.
Sure.
I'm taking the easy one. The crowd was awesome.
Yes.
Crowd was really, really good. They started with a "Go Leafs Go" chant. Could have lasted a little longer for me if I'm nitpicking, but it was loud. It was excellent. You could feel the oohs and ahs with the hits and with the plays. That's exactly what you need for a playoff atmosphere from this crowd. They were going bananas during the breaks. Like, they brought it. They were waving the towels all game long. They were making chants at Senators players. 10 out of 10 performance for the crowd. They did great. They take a lot of.
Is that their chanting?
I didn't want them doing Brady sucks up 3. I was like, let him sleep. Let him sleep.
Yeah. You didn't like the Brady sucks? I love it.
Yeah. I loved it, but the energy I love.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
Mark.
Passionate night.
Oh, Mark. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. They're involved.
Yeah.
And
so you guys just go 1-1-1-1 around the room on this?
Well, if you got one, if you got one, go.
Yeah, let it rip.
Fourth line for me, the line with Scott Laughton. They feel like they can put that line on the ice at any moment right now. Lorentz, Yarncroc, a huge goal. Laughton has a little hesitation inside the blue to find Ekman Larsson. I just felt comfortable. I feel comfortable with that line and feel like they found something they trust.
Yeah.
And Yarncroc almost scored a goal right after they got one too, right?
Yeah, shoot it in.
Off the post there.
Shoot it in. Like, it's a wide, just hit it in the net, man. Like, God, just bear down on it.
Got
like,
it too. You guys got everything.
But it's classic Yarncroc here. Just bear down and shoot it in the net, man. You're standing right there. Anyways, but that line was excellent. Even from the start, like they set up the first one, like you said, but I didn't think they really went away. I thought like 80% of their shifts tonight were really good. And they just seemed like they were cycling it well. They were playing below the red line. I was just really impressed with just their physicality and grittiness, and just, they look like a real bottom 6 hockey line that you can depend on. Like one that they haven't had in years past, quite frankly. Like I guess maybe it's a fresh start for Laughton. Everything goes to zeros and you are just like, it's a new season. Like you're feeling good about your game, and he gets on the board with an assist and a huge goal to open it up. I love that line, and it feels great to have a line like this that you trust, because it felt like they've searched for it forever. So good for him.
I don't want to read too much into one play, but if we're showing the goal here, like, Scott Laughton is not a perfect player. That's clear. He's not going to be dynamic offensively in a way that makes you feel like you got Ryan O'Reilly on the ice, right? When you went 3 centers deep, or when you've got Nazem Kadri. But what I saw in this goal is that's a first round pick player with the patience to just stop up, take a peek, and then deliver a perfect pass to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who is streaking down the middle of the ice. And I thought to myself, it's been a long time since he's been in the playoffs, right? I think it was actually his rookie year, the last time that he was there. So he's not exactly just covered in glory, but that was just such a smart, underrated veteran, high pedigree play from a depth player. And that is, to me, what you weren't getting from a guy like Alex Kerfoot, who was in kind of a similar role in the past.
Yeah, well said. Curious to see, as you know, this is not the first game where he looked good. He looked good the last few regular season games. Like, he's kind of finding some value there on this line. So, this is found money. Now you just sort out the third line with Domi, and off you go.
Also, not to read too much into this, but having a line of 2 checking forwards who play hard in the right way, and Laughton and Lorentz from Ontario in the Battle of Ontario, feels extra meaningful.
They get it.
They love it.
They get it. They get it.
Yeah.
They absolutely get it. And we can talk about Max. Like, I don't want to be like typical Toronto media here, but to bring it down to a negative, we talk about Max Domi. The best thing he did in the last 2 days was put out that hype video, which was absolutely electric. But,
He also threw a pretty good punch.
oh
in the
my
last
God, that was a
minute.
great hype video. But he, he gets it too. He gets mixed up at the end there. He's uppercutting Gaudette in the face and led to one of my actual favorite moments of the game. The ref trying to keep a straight face while like reading the laundry list of penalties was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was legitimately hilarious. Like I don't know how many times I've seen a ref bring out a grocery list and just read off all the penalties.
Costco receipt.
It was
CVS
so funny.
receipt.
I love that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love that point, Bunk. Like these guys all talked about Nieuwendyk and talked about, growing up in that. And Lorentz, the picture of him like wearing his little jersey with the cup, and he looks so sweet and he's playing mini sticks. Like
Lorentz is honestly the sweetest looking little boy.
He's the sweetest kid. Like I just want to give a little pat on the head. You're a sweet little guy. I love you.
Yeah. How many times did he get his cheeks pinched by old ladies at the grocery store when he was growing up?
Too many. He's not mean enough.
Yeah, infinity cheek pinches for that kid when he was growing up, walking around the neighborhood.
What a game one take. Game one went well when that's the conversation.
Yeah,
I got
adorable.
another guy who was awesome tonight.
Yeah, hit it.
OEL, maybe their best D.
Tonight? Yeah, I thought it was him or McCabe.
Yeah. Yeah, like McCabe again. Yeah, it's good. A couple
Well,
guys that haven't been in.
I just feel so good when McCabe goes back and they're dumping it into traffic, and he is completely unafraid to go collect the puck. And like Don Cherry would hate him because he turns his back to the place so many times, or he will just go in fearlessly. Like, I don't care. I'm fishing this puck out and I'm shoveling it over to Tanev or to whoever. But yeah, I thought both those guys were excellent tonight. Not to say that Tanev wasn't. I thought that Carlo and Riley struggled a lot, like that they were probably the most worrisome to me. Benoit took that penalty where a stick rides a little high, but not noticeable in a really horrific way outside of that. But yeah, I thought that those were the guys to pin in on. But yeah, what are your OEL thoughts?
Go ahead.
I just he jumped up on the play to score the goal. That's a good first step, but I feel like the grease is what I like. Like he is a guy who is okay with the way this is going. And I haven't, Riley's not going to be that guy. Tanev doesn't back down from anyone, but like I just like that OEL is a guy that they're annoyed that he drew the penalty. At one point he took a penalty in Stützle, I think, and the two of them are jawing. Like the Leafs have a guy that makes the other team upset. And I like that.
Stützle, when he felt that stick in his feet and he went flying through the air like an acrobat, like he was on a trapeze. He was just like, oh, like he was flying through the air. And Craig Berube was talking with that before the series even started, being like, basically calling him a big fat diver, which he is. He's just a huge diver out there. And Berube said as much before. But looking at the minutes tonight, like they obviously it's a bit of score effects because it was a bit of a blowout, so they were probably rolling more towards the end of the game. But like to have none of the defensemen over 20 minutes is pretty amazing.
Really?
Yeah. Like McCabe played the most amongst defensemen at 1936. Nye led them
everyone right now.
Nye led them in ice time in 22-29 tonight.
I was going to say that actually I was going to say that all the power play time, but they scored 10 seconds into 3 of them. Yeah. So that does change things to a degree, but yeah, I would have thought that a little bit of that is just the fact that they had so many power plays and that there's no defensemen that get any time when that happens. So limits it a bit, but yeah, that is an interesting stat from game 1. Okay. Anything else from any of you guys? Any other rapid fire?
Well, I guess it's just like everybody was sick because they won 6-2. So like you could just sit here and talk about all the players that were great, but Nyes is a mutant, boys. Nyes is an absolute mule of a man. Goes to the front of the net, scores one on the back. The one that really puts it away, makes it 6-2. He blocks a shot with his robo wrist. I don't know how he's back out there the next shift. It's like it hits him right in a really dangerous spot. And we were all like, oh, that's not good. That's not a good spot to get hit. Comes out literally the next shift and shoots it in the net. He's just physical. He's big. He's just getting better every game that he plays. He's finding confidence. He's figuring out how big he is. He's just such an important player for them. And
great play by Matthews on the Nyes goal. Yeah. And I'll just say, good that every one of the core 4 got some cookies. Tavares scores, Nylander scores. Everyone feels good.
Yep.
Going into the next game.
Absolutely.
My last rapid fire is just purely a petty grievance that I have with the chat. That when I said this series was starting, I said that I thought that it was going to be Toronto minus 200. And I got so much feedback from people in my DMs and in the YouTube comments everywhere where it was like, oh, Leafs aren't going to be that heavily favored in the series. Leafs aren't going to be. Listen, I know gambling, and the Leafs opened the series exactly at minus 200. So
Did they really?
Yeah. Eat it.
Well, when I looked at it, it was like
take a victory lap on
when
that.
we looked at it on our show, it was like plus 150, minus 185. I think maybe at open the money had come in, but there was a time where it was below minus 200 for sure.
Minus 200 is what it was.
Opened, maybe when it opened.
Minus 200 to start the series. Not right now.
Like,
when it
at
opened.
puck drop drop, it was that. Okay.
Minus
So I'm not going to sit
200.
here and argue with you, but I did it multiple different times where it was below minus 200.
Yeah,
it was like minus 190,
200.
minus. Okay. You can just keep saying that, like,
well,
so that you
who do you
feel
think?
like,
Look,
you just keep bulldozing me. But I looked at it multiple times where it wasn't minus 200.
Minus 200. I don't know what to tell you. Like, could have put it up in a plaque for you, but like minus 200. Anyways, you can follow the show on Apple and on Spotify. It really helps us when you do that. You can subscribe to that pod. It's perfect. It really does help, even if you're a YouTube watcher. If you watch it on YouTube, leave the thumbs up. You can reach out anytime on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at JT Bourne, at Sammy McKee. You can tell me more things that you were wrong about that I'll shout you out on the show. And with that, we're on to game 2 in Toronto.